The DJ's music cut out mid-song. Just stopped. Dead silence in a room full of 200 people. I was standing beside Madison, my bride of exactly 43 minutes, when I heard the feedback screech through the speakers. Everyone's head turned toward the stage where moments ago we'd exchanged vows. My sister Harper stood there, microphone in hand, her boyfriend Theo beside her on one knee. "I just said yes," she squealed into the mic. The room erupted. Champagne glasses lifted. Camera flashes went off like fireworks. My mother's shriek of joy cut through everything else. Madison's hand tightened around mine so hard her nails dug into my palm. I felt her whole body go rigid. Harper held up her left hand, showing off a diamond that caught every light in the venue. Theo stood and kissed her while our guests, my guests, the people I'd invited to witness my marriage, cheered like this was the main event. My photographer, the one I'd paid $3,000, was snapping pictures of Harper. Not me. Not Madison. Harper. That's when I knew. This wasn't a spontaneous moment of joy. She'd planned this. Every second of it. The crowd swarmed my sister like she was the bride. Which, in that moment, she might as well have been. My mother pushed past Madison to get to Harper, pulling her into a hug and sobbing about double blessings and God's timing. My father clapped Theo on the back, welcoming him to the family. Madison stood frozen beside me in her white gown, the one she'd saved for 2 years to afford, looking like a ghost at her own wedding. "Should we do the cake?" she whispered. I couldn't answer. My throat felt like I'd swallowed glass. The DJ was already playing some romantic song for Harper and Theo. Our first dance, the one we'd choreographed for 3 months, was just erased. Our cake cutting, postponed. Our moment, stolen. But I couldn't make a scene. Not here. Not in front of everyone who'd traveled to see us get married. So I did the only thing I could think of. I caught the videographer's eye and mouthed, "Keep filming everything." He nodded, confused but professional. Because somewhere deep in my chest, beneath the rage and humiliation, a cold, clear thought formed. I'd need proof of this. All of it. My name is Nathan Reed. I'm 31 years old. I work in commercial architecture, designing office buildings that people notice but never remember who created them. I've always been the quiet one. The responsible sibling. The one who colored inside the lines while Harper drew all over the walls and got praised for being creative. Growing up, my parents had a saying, "Harper just has a bigger personality." Which was code for, we let her do whatever she wants and you have to deal with it. When she crashed my dad's car at 16, they bought her a new one. When I scratched mine at 17, I paid for the repairs with my summer job money. When she dropped out of college to find herself in Europe for a year, they funded the whole trip. When I asked for help with my student loans, they said it would teach me financial responsibility. I stopped competing with her years ago. It was exhausting, and I always lost. But Madison changed everything. She saw me. She chose me. And when I proposed to her on a hiking trail at sunrise, it was the first time in my life I'd felt like I'd won something Harper couldn't take. I should have known better. Harper's always had a talent for stealing attention. It's like breathing to her. When I got my first promotion at work, she announced she'd landed a modeling contract with a boutique agency the same week. Never mind that she'd been modeling for 3 years without any real jobs. When Madison and I bought our house, a modest 2-bedroom in a decent neighborhood, Harper suddenly found a luxury penthouse downtown. She posted pictures of the skyline view constantly, though I later found out she was only renting a room there, not the whole place. At my college graduation, she showed up in a sequin dress and heels so high she could barely walk. Every photo from that day, she's in the foreground, smiling at the camera while I'm blurred in the background. My parents called it confidence. I called it compulsive attention-seeking. But I'd built a life she couldn't touch. Madison and I had something real. Something that didn't need Instagram validation or constant praise. Or so I thought. The rehearsal dinner should have been my first real warning. Harper walked in wearing white. Not cream, not ivory, actual bridal white. A tight dress that hugged every curve, with a slit up the side that went almost to her hip. My mother laughed it off. "Oh, Harper, you look stunning." Madison's face went pale. In wedding culture, wearing white to someone else's wedding events is basically a declaration of war. Everyone knows this. But when I pulled Harper aside and asked her to change, she just smiled and said, "Relax, Nate. It's not like I'm the one getting married tomorrow." Her eyes glittered with something I couldn't quite identify then. Now I know it was anticipation. She'd already been planning it. That night, she hugged me before leaving. "I'm so proud of you, little brother," she said into my shoulder. I noticed her phone in her hand, screen facing out. Later, I'd see that video on her Instagram story, brotherly love before the big day, with a heart emoji. She was setting the stage, building the narrative, priming her followers for what came next. The wedding morning felt perfect, almost supernaturally perfect. Sunshine poured through the windows of the venue, a converted barn on the outskirts of Portland. The flowers Madison had agonized over for months looked exactly right. The chairs were arranged in perfect rows. I stood at the altar watching Madison walk down the aisle, and everything else disappeared. The guests, the music, even my own heartbeat seemed to quiet. She was beautiful. Not in the way Harper was beautiful, with that sharp, demanding beauty that insisted you look. Madison's beauty was softer, gentler. The kind that made you feel calm just being near her. When we said our vows, my voice cracked on, "I do." Hers was steady. For exactly 43 minutes, I was the happiest I'd ever been. Then Harper took the microphone. "Can I have everyone's attention?" Harper's voice rang through the speakers. I was mid-sentence, thanking the guests for coming, when she just walked up and took the mic from the DJ's stand. The DJ looked at me, confused. I shook my head slightly. No, I didn't know what this was. Theo appeared beside her, his face red but smiling. He was a nice guy, honestly. A little too agreeable, a little too willing to go along with whatever Harper wanted, but nice. He got down on one knee. Madison's hand found mine. I felt her trembling. "Theo and I have been together for 3 years, Harper announced, like she was accepting an award. "And tonight, surrounded by all of you, by family, he asked me the most important question of my life." She paused for effect. The room held its breath. And I said yes. The room exploded. Cheers, applause, the works. My mother was already crying. My father was shaking Theo's hand before the poor guy even stood up. The photographer I'd hired was snapping away. Every guest was pulling out their phones. And Madison and I stood there, forgotten, while my sister turned my wedding into her engagement party. The music changed. The DJ, who'd obviously been told what to do, started playing some upbeat song I didn't recognize. Harper and Theo started dancing. Right there, center stage, where Madison and I were supposed to have our first dance in 10 minutes. Guests swarmed them, hugging, congratulating, taking selfies. My mother was sobbing with joy. "2 of my babies engaged," she kept saying, like I hadn't just gotten married an hour ago. Madison tugged my sleeve. "Nathan, what do we do?" I didn't know. My brain felt like it was moving through honey. Everything was happening too fast and too slow at the same time. The photographer passed me, chasing after Harper to get another angle. That's when something inside me snapped into cold clarity. "Excuse me," I said, catching his arm. He turned, camera still raised. "I need you to photograph everything. Every moment. Don't miss anything." He frowned, confused. "I'm already shooting." "Everything," I repeated. "Every person, every reaction, every detail. Don't stop." He nodded slowly, then moved back into the crowd. I'd figure out what to do with the evidence later. But I was going to have it. Our reception continued around Harper's engagement like the wedding was just background noise. The cake cutting got delayed because people were still taking pictures with the newly engaged couple. Our first dance never happened because Harper and Theo did theirs first, and by the time they finished, everyone was ready for dinner. Madison disappeared to the bathroom. I found her 20 minutes later, sitting on the floor in her wedding dress, mascara running down her face. "Your mom asked me if I was excited about having a sister-in-law now," she said. Her voice was hollow, like she forgot I just became her daughter-in-law today. I sat beside her on the cold tile floor, my tuxedo jacket getting dusty. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. But her eyes said different. Like maybe it was my fault for not predicting this, for not protecting her from my family's chaos. We sat there in silence while our wedding reception happened without us. The night finally ended around midnight. Harper and Theo left in a shower of rice and rose petals. Our guests threw it. The same guests who'd brought those rose petals for Madison and me. My parents hugged Harper goodbye for what felt like 10 minutes, gushing about wedding plans and how this was the best day ever. They hugged us for maybe 30 seconds total. Congratulations, you two, my father said, distracted, already looking at his phone where Harper had just posted her first engagement photo. Nice ceremony. That was it. That was our send-off. Madison and I drove to our hotel in silence. We'd booked the honeymoon suite at a downtown hotel, splurging on champagne and rose petals and all the romantic cliches that suddenly felt stupid. I helped Madison out of her dress, carefully unhooking each button she'd been so excited about that morning. She didn't say anything, just stood there like a mannequin. That night, lying in the dark with my brand new wife beside me, I made a promise to myself. I would make this right. Somehow, I'd fix what Harper had broken. I just didn't know how yet. For 3 weeks, I said nothing. Just watched and waited. Harper's Instagram exploded. She posted at least 5 times a day. The photos from my wedding, the ones she'd carefully collected from every guest, filled her feed. Best engagement ever surrounded by family, with a picture of her and Theo on my wedding stage. When your brother's big day becomes yours too, with her ring catching the light from my reception candles. Family over everything, with a shot of my parents hugging her, Madison and I blurred in the background. Every post got thousands of likes. Her follower count jumped by 3,000. Brands started reaching out to her for partnerships. She was trending. And me. I posted nothing. Not a single wedding photo, not one word about what happened. People started asking. Friends messaged me. Hey man, congrats on the wedding. Wild about Harper, huh? I just hearted their messages and moved on. Because I wasn't ready yet. The photographer had sent me the full gallery, over 800 photos. I'd been going through them slowly, methodically, looking for something. And then I found it. Photo number 437. Harper and Theo sitting at their assigned table during dinner. Except Theo wasn't looking at Harper. He was looking at someone else. Specifically, at Bridget, Harper's best friend and maid of honor. I almost missed it. It was just one frame in a burst of photos. But there was something about his expression. Not just looking at her. Gazing at her. I kept scrolling. Photo 452. Theo's hand on the table. Another hand, female, with pink nail polish, reaching toward his. Photo 468. Theo and Bridget standing by the bar, his hand on her lower back. Photo 473. Bridget laughing at something he said, her hand on his chest. The photographer had captured everything, just like I'd asked. Including the truth. Harper's fiancé was interested in someone else. Maybe more than interested. I sat back in my office chair, staring at the screen. This changed everything. I didn't plan to use the photos. Not at first. I just saved them in a folder labeled Wedding Extras, and went back to my life. Madison and I were settling into married life, trying to reclaim some of the joy that had been stolen from us. But then Harper called me. Nate. Her voice was bright, energetic, that same tone she used when she wanted something. I need a favor. I waited. I need the full set of wedding photos. The photographer sent me some, but I want all of them. For my engagement album. I'm making this beautiful coffee table book and I need all the high-res files. She wanted to use my wedding photographer's work for her engagement announcement. The audacity was almost impressive. The ones on Facebook aren't good enough? I asked. Those are compressed and gross. I need the originals. She paused. You don't mind, right? I mean, I'm in half the photos anyway. Something in me snapped. Not dramatically. Just a quiet crack, like ice breaking. Sure, I said. I'll send them all to you. Really? Oh my God, thank you. You're the best brother ever. After we hung up, I sat staring at my computer for a long time. Then I opened the folder and started selecting files. I contacted Kendrick, the photographer, and explained what I needed. Send Harper the complete raw collection, I said. Everything you shot that night. Don't edit anything out. Don't curate. Just send her every single file. Kendrick hesitated. That's like 900 photos. Most clients don't want. She asked for everything, I interrupted. So give her everything. He understood then. I could hear it in the pause. You got it. Before he sent the files, I renamed the folder, Read Wedding Complete Collection Unedited Truth. Then I waited. Harper downloaded the files that afternoon. I got a notification that she'd accessed the shared folder. For 2 days, nothing happened. She was probably sorting through them, picking her favorites, building her narrative. Then, on a Wednesday evening, she posted them. Not just a few. 47 photos in a single Instagram carousel post. The night dreams came true, the caption read, with a string of heart and ring emojis. The first few photos were beautiful. Harper and Theo, the ring, the celebration. Then came photo number 12 in the carousel. Theo gazing at Bridget while Harper was looking away. Photo number 23, their hands reaching toward each other under the table. Photo number 35, Bridget's hand on his chest, both of them laughing. I watched the comments roll in. The first comment came 7 minutes after she posted. Wait, why is he looking at someone else in pic 12? Then, am I crazy or is that your maid of honor he's holding hands with? Then, Harper girl, you might want to delete some of these. I sat in my living room, Madison reading beside me, watching Harper's perfect post implode in real time. More comments. This is awkward. Who's the girl in the blue dress? Your man seems distracted, sis. Someone with too much time on their hands made a collage of all the photos showing Theo and Bridget together. It started circulating on Twitter within an hour. Man proposes at brother-in-law's wedding, caught flirting with maid of honor in same photo dump. My phone rang. Harper. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called again. And again. Madison looked up from her book. Is that her? I nodded. Are you going to answer? I thought about it. About 3 weeks of silence. About Madison crying on our wedding night. About my mother caring more about Harper's engagement than my marriage. Not yet, I said. The phone kept ringing. On the 4th call, I answered. Nathan. Harper's voice was shaking. Have you seen what people are saying? Someone's photoshopping my pictures, making it look like Theo was flirting with Bridget. This is insane. I leaned back on the couch, keeping my voice calm. Those aren't photoshopped, Harper. What? Of course they are. Theo would never. They're raw files, I continued. Straight from the photographer. Unedited. Exactly what you asked for. Silence. The kind that fills with understanding. You. Her voice dropped. You sent me those photos on purpose. I sent you every photo from my wedding. Just like you asked. You set me up. Now she was yelling. You knew those pictures were in there. I knew the truth was in there, I corrected. What you did with that truth was your choice. She was breathing hard now. I could picture her pacing, the way she did when she was cornered. I'm your sister. How could you do this to me? The audacity of that question almost made me laugh. How could I? Harper, you announced your engagement at my wedding. You stole my photographer, my moment, my entire day. And you're asking how I could send you honest photos. That's different. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, I just gave you what you asked for. The truth just happened to be complicated. I hung up before she could respond. The family group chat exploded within minutes. Mom. Nathan, what did you do? Dad, call your mother now. Harper, he sabotaged my engagement announcement. Mom, everyone saw those photos. The whole family is asking questions. My Aunt Claudia, who never posted anything. What's happening? Someone explain. I watched the messages pile up for 10 minutes before responding. I sent Harper the wedding photos she requested. That's all. Madison, who'd been reading over my shoulder, finally spoke up. She never used the family chat. But now she typed. Harper announced her engagement at our wedding reception. She took our photographer, our moment, and our day. If the photos show something uncomfortable, maybe that's because the whole situation was uncomfortable. The chat went silent. For maybe the first time in my entire life, my parents had no immediate comeback. Then, 5 minutes later, Mom, let's discuss this privately. But it was too late. The silence had already said everything. The next morning, Theo's sister posted a cryptic message on Instagram. Imagine proposing at someone else's wedding just to find out your relationship was a lie. It got screenshotted and shared everywhere. People were piecing together the story, turning it into Twitter threads and TikTok commentary. Wedding crasher crashes her own engagement was trending by lunch. Theo deleted all his social media that afternoon. Just gone. Every platform, every account. Harper's posts stayed up, but the comments kept coming. She tried to delete them, but people just posted more. She tried turning off comments, but then people started DMing her friends and family. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Is this Nathan Reed? Yes. This is Theo. We need to talk. I stared at that message for a long time before responding. We met at a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory. Theo looked terrible. Unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, his shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it. I didn't know you sent those photos on purpose, he said before I even sat down. Does it matter? I asked. He shook his head. Harper told me you sabotaged us. But I've been looking at those pictures all week. He pulled out his phone, scrolling to the photo of him and Bridget. I didn't even realize. Realize what? That I was that obvious. He looked up at me. Bridget and I have been talking. 4 months. Nothing physical, he added quickly. Just talking. But the way I felt about her compared to Harper, he stopped. I proposed because I thought I was supposed to. Because Harper expected it. Because proposing at a wedding seemed romantic and spontaneous. But it wasn't spontaneous, I said. No. He laughed bitterly. Harper planned it 2 weeks in advance. Told me exactly when to do it, what to say, how to position myself for the cameras. She choreographed the whole thing. Of course she did. Why are you telling me this? I asked. He met my eyes. Because you didn't ruin anything. You just showed me what was already broken. And I needed someone to know that. He left his coffee untouched and walked out. I sat there alone for another 20 minutes, processing. Harper posted an apology the next day. It was one of those Notes app screenshots that celebrities use when they're caught doing something terrible. White text on black background, carefully worded to accept blame without actually admitting fault. I want to address the recent situation regarding my engagement. I realize now that the timing of my announcement may have been inconsiderate to my brother and his wife on their special day. I was caught up in the excitement of the moment and didn't think about how it might affect others. I apologize for any hurt I may have caused. I'm also addressing rumors about my relationship. Theo and I are working through some things privately, and I ask for space and respect during this time. The comments were brutal. May have been inconsiderate. Girl, you hijacked a wedding. Working through things equals he was looking at your best friend in all the photos. This is the most non-apology apology I've ever read. At least admit what you did instead of this vague maybe sorry situation. I didn't add to the pile. I just watched Harper's carefully constructed image crumble in real time. 3 days later, she deleted the post. Then she deleted all the engagement photos. Then she went private. For someone who lived for public attention, Going private was basically admitting defeat. 2 months after my wedding, my parents finally invited Madison and me over for dinner. Family healing, my mother called it. Harper was there, of course. No Theo. No ring. She arrived 30 minutes late, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweatpants. I'd never seen Harper in sweatpants outside a gym. We sat around the table in excruciating silence while my mother served pot roast. Finally, my father cleared his throat. "So, how are the wedding plans coming along, Harper?" The question hung in the air like poison gas. Harper stared at her plate. "There are no wedding plans." "Oh." My mother's face fell. "Did you and Theo decide to postpone?" "We broke up." Harper's voice was flat. "He's dating Bridget now. Officially. They're posting about it and everything." I felt Madison squeeze my hand under the table. My mother fumbled for words. "Well, I'm sure you'll find someone better. You're so beautiful and talented and—" "Mom, stop." Harper looked up. Her eyes were red. "Can we just eat dinner without pretending everything's fine?" For once, my mother listened. We ate in silence. It wasn't comfortable, but it was honest. After dinner, Harper caught me alone in the hallway. "I know you're not sorry," she said. "And I know I don't deserve an apology. But I need you to understand something." I waited. "I didn't do it to hurt you," she continued. "I did it because I've spent my whole life needing to be the center of attention. And when you were getting married, having this moment that was just yours, I couldn't stand it." She wiped her eyes. "That's not an excuse. It's just the truth." "I know," I said. She looked surprised. "You do. Harper, you've been doing this our entire lives. The difference is this time, it backfired." She nodded slowly. Then, without another word, she left. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't closure. But it was honest. 3 months after the wedding, the photographer finally sent us our finished album. Madison and I sat on our couch, opening the leather-bound book together. The cover was simple: "Nathan and Madison read the day that was still ours." Inside, not a single photo of Harper. Not the proposal, not the chaos, nothing. Just us. Our ceremony, our faces, our quiet moments. There was one photo near the end that made Madison cry. It was from late in the night, after most guests had left. We were sitting at our table, foreheads touching, eyes closed. You could see everything we'd been through that day written in our expressions. Exhaustion, hurt, but also something unbreakable. "This is us," Madison whispered. "This is real." We flipped through the rest of the album slowly, remembering the parts of the day that Harper hadn't stolen. The morning getting ready, the vows, the quiet moments between chaos. On the last page, the photographer had included a note: "Every wedding has unexpected moments. The photos that matter most are the ones where you find each other anyway." We closed the album and held each other. 6 months later, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw that one of our wedding photos had been reposted by some wedding planning account. It was the image of Harper mid-announcement, Theo on one knee, the crowd cheering. But the caption had changed: "PSA, don't do this. Ever. Let the couple have their day." The comments were full of people sharing their own stories of attention seekers ruining weddings, of family members who couldn't let someone else shine, of moments stolen and never recovered. Our wedding had become a cautionary tale. I showed Madison. She laughed, genuinely laughed, for the first time since the wedding. "At least something good came from it," she said. "Maybe Harper saved some other couple from going through what we did." I doubted Harper saw it that way, but Madison was right. The story had taken on a life of its own, bigger than Harper's intent, bigger than my revenge. It had become a lesson: never steal someone else's moment, because it might steal yours back. Harper moved to Seattle in the fall. "Fresh start," she told our parents. She deleted all her social media permanently and got a job at a tech startup doing graphic design. No more modeling, no more influencer aspirations, no more public performance of her life. I heard through my mother that she was dating someone new. A quiet guy, an accountant, someone who had no idea about her viral infamy. She hadn't told him about the wedding incident. Do you think she's changed? Madison asked me when I shared the update. I thought about it. I think she got humbled. Whether that's the same as change, I don't know yet. We didn't talk much, Harper and I. Maybe a text on holidays, a brief phone call on birthdays. Our relationship had reset to something distant but not hostile. Sometimes I wondered if I should have handled it differently. If I should have confronted her that night, made a scene, prevented the whole disaster. But then I remembered Madison crying on the bathroom floor. I remembered my mother caring more about Harper's ring than my marriage. I remembered being forgotten at my own wedding. And I realized I wouldn't change anything. Because the truth needed to come out eventually, and at least this way, it came out on its own terms. 2 years after the wedding, Madison and I sat in our backyard, celebrating our anniversary with takeout and cheap wine. Do you ever think about that day? She asked. Sometimes, I admitted. But not the way I used to. Now when I think about our wedding, I remember the vows. I remember your face when you walked down the aisle. I remember sitting with you late that night, promising to make it right. You did make it right, she said. Not by destroying Harper, but by choosing us. By protecting our story. She was right. The photos didn't destroy Harper. Her own actions did that. I just made sure the truth was visible. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set behind our fence. My phone buzzed. A message from Harper. Happy anniversary. I hope it's peaceful. I showed Madison. She smiled. Should you respond? I thought about everything we'd been through. The pain, the betrayal, the slow healing. The way silence had been the loudest revenge, and truth the sharpest weapon. Yeah, I said, typing back. Thanks. It is. And I meant it. Looking back now, I don't hate Harper. I don't even resent her anymore. I learned something valuable from the whole mess. Sometimes the best revenge is just stepping aside and letting someone's own choices catch up with them. She used my wedding to announce her engagement. But in the end, the photos told the real story. And I didn't have to add a single lie. The truth did all the work for me.